For those of you who may have been longtime fans of the show, you might recognize the room I'm in because this is the second time I've done an interview here. I'm here at the Raffoul residence, this time hanging with the eldest son of the Raffoul clan. Billy, how's it going, man?
Not too bad. It's good to see you.
Very good to see you.
Thanks for coming by.
It's been fun because I was, as you know, I was aware of your dad going back, right? Mm-hmm. And then I started hearing rumors of you just kind of like in the scenes and that sort of thing. And then ended up working with Derek, and Derek was the one that really sort of like caught me on to like that you were like doing this thing, right? It started finding your path. And then when I sat down with your dad for the first time, we got into a point where he just couldn't retain it. He had to tell your story. And I don't normally like it when somebody else is telling somebody's story, but I thought in that case it was a little appropriate, right?
Exception,
but I'm so excited to finally be able to sit down directly with you, man.
As have I. We've met at different shows in different countries and different states, and now we get changed into
Chicago. Yeah, that's funny. So normally I ask about the house you grew up in, but I'm already pretty familiar with the house you grew up in. I think a lot of my audience is too. So maybe just a different perspective. Like everybody in the area, as a general rule, like knows your family, knows your dad and stuff. Coming up from being like just a small kid coming up in that. What was that like for you?
It was pretty cool, man. It's still pretty cool. My dad, growing up, everyone knew my dad and knew his music, and almost everyone was a big supporter or fan of it, and it was kind of like a surreal feeling, especially in a small town, especially in a big family in a small town. So like everyone kind of knew of my dad's music, and if they didn't, they were a relative, in which case they knew of it anyways.
But that's the other sort of key with you guys, right? Like your family is gigantic.
Yeah, it's huge.
Like it's almost a joke in this town. Like, oh, I'm Jody or Billy's cousin. Well, who isn't, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
But even with a family that size, your dad and I talked about it a little bit. Family's like super important to you guys.
Oh
right?
Yeah, it's crazy, and he could probably name every single one of his cousins if you asked him to fire it off,
Right.
But yeah, family's huge, and the family is huge.
Talk to me about finding music with your dad, because it wasn't right away, right?
No, it was like the love for it, I think, was always there, because how do you not have love for something like that? Your father's that passionate about, or it has such a big part of your life. And we grew up around it, both my brother and I, Peter, and but I didn't start getting into it on my own until I don't know, I was 14 or 15 probably. I was kind of strayed away from it and was into sports and hockey and.
But was it like a rebellion? Like, was there ever a point where you were just tired of it's dad's garbage?
I don't think I was tired of it, but it does make me wonder that kind of thing, you naturally stay away from it because you're so used to it, right? Mm-hmm. And in this case, the family business is music, so it could have been if he was a lawyer and I didn't want to get into law or something like that. But I eventually found my way into it naturally and picked up the guitar and started teaching myself how to play the guitar. And my dad never forced music onto us, but
right.
It was obviously crazy encouraging once we started to want to do it for more than just like a hobby.
Right. Yeah. So when was that transition pretty quick for you?
I always had this subconscious, I think, or maybe misplaced, confidence that it was going to happen eventually. I was just
really?
Eventually I'm going to fall into music somehow. It's predetermined. It's going to happen for as early as 15.
Even while you were walking away from it?
Yeah, as early as 14, 15, 16. I was like, yeah, it's probably what I'm going to do. It's like my backup plan.
That's hilarious. It's funny because you don't often hear people talk about it like that. Like it was just kind of it was casually yeah, all right.
And it wasn't I wasn't thinking like that because I could do it. It just, I don't know, I just had this feeling about it. I couldn't can't describe it. And then when I turned 16, 17 and started taking it seriously, I'm like, okay, now I know how or what I have to do anyway.
Right.
And seeing my dad do it for so many years, I'm like, you know, got to go full speed at this. And that's probably around the age when I started writing songs every day. I'd written a bunch of songs before that, but I was writing them like every single day.
Yeah.
And trying to sing every single day somewhere, even if it wasn't getting paid for it. And
was that just a thing you had to do, or was that a direction in your mind?
Yeah, and that's the roadmap to me, just because I've seen him do it for so long, right? So like
I know guys that just have to play.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I wanted to get to a place where I'm only doing music for a living, and that's my thing. And I've seen my dad do it for so long, and I watched him do it. And I was like, okay, well, he plays 5 nights a week, and he's got this many songs and this many albums, and he's always writing. And he's always got the guitar in his hands, or he's always singing. So I'm like, that's the roadmap. I need to do that. I need to play as many different places as I can for as long as I can, you know. Yeah. And it just kind of started, and that was it.
Did you ever feel? Because I almost get the feeling just because of the house you grew up in. Like, to give you a little background. So, I come from a place where art was not like even part of the day to day. Right.
Yeah.
So to get into a world that was immersed in art, I had to learn like even just what any of that was, right? Like just even what all the stuff that you said, like I know this roadmap. Mm-hmm. All of that was a mystery to me. Like it was just, to me, you go to the mall, you get discovered, and you become a star kind of thing, right? Like that's how entertainment works. Do you think? It's hard to sort of answer because you're outside. You can't answer outside of the perspective. But do you think having your dad sort of have that in front of you made it easier, or do you think that sort of predetermined you?
It's definitely given me. I'm always so inspired and intrigued by people who don't have any art in their family, and then they become this, you know, crazy good musician or a writer or a painter or that, right? And they literally have to pull it from a different place that isn't like their family or their relative, and it's not predetermined because it's not like, you know, their dad wasn't doing it, or their, you know. I always think that's incredible. For me, I think it definitely is not a negative. I think it's a positive to have, you know, that in my life, and it wasn't like a predetermined thing, like, oh, I'm gonna have to do this. It's just kind of like a known thing. Like I want to do this. I'm going to, and I know that I feel like I can because my dad's done it, kind of thing, right?
It's funny because I don't think in your life you ever had that desire to know, I really want to go get a 9-to-5 job. You know what I mean? And it's because it's the exact opposite, right? Coming from a world where like I know how to get a 9-to-5 job, right? Yeah. That's funny. So talk to me. All right, once all of that stuff has gotten into you, I want to hear about your path, man. Because despite the fact that your dad is who he is, one of the things that I know to be true is your dad didn't get you where you are. So talk to me about that story. You started playing. You were young when you started playing in bars around here, right?
Yeah, I was 16 or 17 years old when I started playing. Like my first, whether it was restaurants or bar and grill kind of things. So it's like 8 or 9 years ago now. Jeez. Yeah, I started again following the algorithm of getting into the circuit of like, you know. Okay, here on Tuesday night, here on Wednesday night, and this place does every other Thursday, so I'm going to try and do that, and then I get 2 Saturdays a month at this place. And again, saw that from my dad, so like I'm gonna just keep on doing that. And while I was influenced by the same kind of music that he got into, I was starting to listen to stuff on my own and draw inspiration from, you know, bands that my dad didn't listen to, or artists that my dad didn't listen to. They became my own inspiration, and I was using that as, you know, writing material, stuff to listen to try and come up with original songs and stuff like that. I think when I started playing in those bars, I was probably playing way too much original music, you know, to the point where I know, you know, multiple times, bar owners or the booker would tell me like, hey, you gonna play stuff that we know?
That's great, though. That's great that you had the balls to do that, because a lot of people don't.
I don't know if it was, again, misplaced confidence kind of thing. That's why it's so important when you start, man,
right.
to like, or when people around you are starting, or young people are starting in the arts, to encourage the hell out of them. I see it even with my little siblings now. Like, shit, that's when those decisions are made a lot of the times in their own mind, even if they don't know it, right? Like when they're younger, like, and someone's telling them like, keep going, keep doing this, even though obviously they're just starting, they don't know anything yet. But that like encouragement at a young age is so fucking important, I think. And I think for me it was like I got a lot of that way before it was deserved, and whether that was because of my dad or just the large encouraging family and the small hometown community, it was so like encouraging to me to keep going, keep writing original music, keep playing the original songs in bars when you're supposed to be playing covers, and then one day, it'll
Talk
work
to me about the mental process of that, though, because when you're in the bars and you're playing your original music, and the bar owner comes up and goes, "Hey, you want to give one for us?" kind of thing,
yeah.
Right? When you go home that night, is it a conflict? Or was it just like, all right, whatever?
I can't remember what I did in the moment the first time someone told me to do that, right? Because I still had another set to go. I think Josh Zaliff came and bailed me out. Seriously, nice. I think he showed up and we were able to jam.
It's a good guy to be able to just sit and jam with, that's for sure.
Oh, he's the best.
Right.
Oh, man. He would... and then imagine, so like, that's a guy who's extensive his knowledge of music and songs is just beyond me, beyond what I can ever imagine, right? So he shows up and like, I'm looking at him like, I know there's no way you know this song because this is one of my songs that I've never played before, but sure enough, by the time the second verse rolls around, he's doing exactly what I would have asked him to do if he was playing on it. And
it's a pretty amazing moment, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that fun?
Yeah, I got to do that a lot, and Josh would just, get on. I'd text him or get on, or I'd Facebook him and he'd show up like, hey, I'm here tonight, and he'd show up and we just, do two sets of unrehearsed, just, and again, not unrehearsed popular songs that everyone knows, unrehearsed songs that he's never heard before, or very random covers that was the other thing too, is the covers I would play, it was like if I was playing a cover in the set, I wasn't doing a Beatles song, even though that's my, that's, to me the best music, some of the best music I've created. It wasn't that, it was, when I did covers, I would do covers so obscure that people thought they're originals anyway, so it didn't matter. Right. Or really weird versions of songs that don't sound like that at all.
That's funny. As a cover guy, like as a guy that sort of makes a significant part of his living, like doing covers, how did you handle requests?
The worst. I was the worst. The worst.
But what did you do? Because like my standard line, like I start my shows by saying, "Hi, my name's AJ. Feel free to shout out requests. Chances are I don't fucking know them."
Yeah. I don't. The only time I'd ever get a request properly is if someone came to see me, heard me do that song, showed up a week later and said, "Hey, can I hear that song?" And I'd be like,
really?
"Oh, fuck, I know that one." Yeah. They're like, "Yeah, I know. I heard you do it last Wednesday."
That's funny.
It's and it's, I guess that, I'm almost embarrassed about it because my father can play every song under the sun and sing every, if not, they'll figure it out on the spot. So.
Does that seem like the goal to you almost?
To be able to do that?
Yeah.
I think the goal to me is just, in different ways, is just being able to do, in any capacity, what he does every night, which is kind of like laces up his boots and goes, in a way, it's not a 9 to 5, it is a 9 to
2 a.m.
9 to 2, the other side of 9, right? And I think the goal is to just, you know, he's enjoying that every minute he's doing that, and he always is. It's like, that's the goal, and providing for your family and being able to love doing it, you know, whatever that looks like.
Talk to me about the transition, because you weren't bar kid for very long, and then you started moving.
No, yeah, definitely not. I was 19, I think, when I moved to Nashville. I went along.
How did that start? Talk to me about the process of even getting there.
Yeah, and I mean, I've told the story a million times, and it's been reiterated in different fashions. So I mean, I guess. Yeah. My father and I were going to a studio session that he had with a family friend of ours, songwriter named Marlon Young, who writes songs for Kid Rock and plays in Kid Rock's band. And, I showed up. I think I was 18 at the time. Yeah, I don't think I was 17 or 18. And I had to have been 18. We were playing guitar kind of in the tracking room. My dad was in the vocal booth singing the song, and they asked me to come in, you know, sing a verse or something like that. And I went in there and did, you know, a verse to mirror the chorus that he was recording, and then they loved my voice and asked if they could hear an original song, and I had just written a song not long before then called Flowers for May, and it was a song for my mother, and whose name is not May, but whatever. And played them the song. Marlon took a video of it and sent it down to Nashville to my now manager, has been my manager for 6 years. And so, you know, that's how I moved down to Nashville.
And so it grabbed you from there and off you went.
Yeah, it was a different thing, because I was so getting into this rhythm, finally getting into this rhythm of playing every night, right? Or playing around and writing every day. And I moved to Nashville, and it's like the music scene in Nashville is a completely different thing. Especially the bar scene in Nashville is a completely different thing. Like, you walk into a bar in Nashville, everyone knows how to play every song.
Right.
You know, there was no room for that, and that was the most intimidating thing in the world.
Really? Talk to me about that.
Yeah, like going down, you know, to a bar in Nashville at any given time, you can walk into a room and hear one of the best guitar players, you know, you're ever going to hear. And they know every song. I knew that wasn't going to be what I was going to be doing when I went down to Nashville. Like, you know, I definitely couldn't cut it doing that stuff. So I went from playing a bunch of places around Windsor, Essex County, and into Detroit, and then went to Nashville to literally just sitting in my room
Really?
and writing songs. So like it really flipped a little bit. And there was, for the first few years, there was rarely any live shows unless I was touring. And it was all, you know, writing.
How was that for you mentally?
It got really discouraging and repetitive for periods of time, because it'd be like a month of just sitting there doing the same thing. And of course, I'd work with different people and try and find people that I could co-write with that made sense and felt natural. But it definitely got into periods where it was like, this is kind of depressing, because it's the same thing over and over again with not a lot of crowd interaction or getting to play for people or getting, you know, honest feedback. You know, it's like, there's a difference, I think, between trying to manufacture, make this song that's going to hit all these marks and it's going to do this thing. It makes sense structurally. The song does, right? There's a difference between that and saying, just wrote this thing like this morning, and I'm going to play it tomorrow night at this bar, and I'm just going to see what happens and see like how people respond, if they respond. And I think that's something for me anyway that I need to do regularly to keep my.
Like the hey, I just wrote this thing, get out to the bar and try it.
Yeah, like the getting to play stuff that is fresh and new, and that you feel good about, that you've just written, getting it to play it for people.
So has that become part of your writing process since then, or?
Absolutely, yeah. And whenever I get to go out on tour, I've been touring a lot lately. I'll always constantly throw brand new songs into the mix. We just did the show last week at the Bank Theater, and got to play like 6 or 7 songs I'd never played live before ever. So that was, I'm still on a high from it. That's the best feeling in the world to me.
Talk to me about, we'll go specific because I was going to go general, but let's go specific. Talk to me about your relationship with Justin Zaccato.
I met Justin in the 9th grade because we had music class together. I still look up to Justin, but right when I met Justin, I was just like, holy shit, this kid can do everything, you know?
Even that early?
Yeah, oh yeah. I always tell people the story. Like, I remember in the 10th grade, our teacher would give us, like, Mr. Momany would give us song lyrics to songs, you know, maybe we hadn't heard before, that were already, you know, big songs. I remember one year it was a Counting Crows song, and he would ask us to write our own melody and, you know, song around the lyric, right? So
okay.
Our own melody and our own chords. It was like, I think most of us were playing guitar, so we used whatever instrument that was ours. And I remember, I'd go take that home, and for a week I'd try and create this melody. I had never heard the song before, so it made sense.
Mm-hmm.
Was it easier at least to create something to something that didn't have it? Anyway, a week later, Justin would show up with like a demo, like on a CD. I'd show up to class with my acoustic guitar, like, here's the song. It'd be a much more depressing, slow, sad version of whatever the Counting Crows song was supposed to be, and Zaccato would play like this fucking, to what to me sounded like, shit, that's done. You should put that out, actually. You know, that's amazing. And he's played the drums on it, and played the bass on it, and sang the harmony, and played guitar, and recorded it all, and mixed it all. And it's just like, I mean, like in 11th grade, I was like, what the fuck?
And he's in 9th grade at the time.
No, I'm in 9th. He's 2 years older than me.
Gotcha, sorry.
But still, I'm like, holy shit. So I was like, right away, heavily inspired.
Gotcha.
Inspired by him. And then we only had, I think, 2 years of high school together, because then he went away to London. We would do talent shows together, you know, me and his brother and him, and we'd do music shows every year with Chris Mazar. We'd do like Beatle covers nights and stuff like that. That was a lot of fun. So we'd keep in touch, and then I did an EP with Marty Bach in SLR Studios in Windsor when I was like 16, and I remember locally promoting the EP. Went to Toronto and picked up we had, you know, a whole bunch of copies made, and again, it was like another thing that I'd seen my dad do for years, and you get the briefcase with your shit in it, and every night at the bar you open it up, and then now you're selling your CDs. So I was going through those motions, and I remember Justin came up to see me one night at the Dugout, Wyandotte University in Ouellette University, and tell it's been a while. Fuck. And he grabbed one, and I remember him listening to it and hit me up. He was like, "Hey, this is like really good. Like, I love this. Like, you gonna play it live?" And I said, "Yeah." And he's like, "Can I play drums?" I was like, "Yeah, sure." Like, and he's like, "Oh, all right." And then I remember he sent me. He might not even fucking said anything. He just sent me a link with a video of him playing all the songs. Like, just done. Like, did it that night. I don't know if he remembers this. But again, it was like, okay, what the hell? And from then we started jamming. Yeah, and it hasn't stopped. I was hanging with him yesterday. And then,
oh, were you?
Yeah, man. And as this process has gone on, we just
because you bounce a lot of stuff back and forth with him.
Oh,
right?
constantly, yeah. And we are always working on something creative, whether it's music, videos, or music, comma videos,
And that actually is where I was going with all of this, because the one thing that I've noticed that's really consistent with both of you, and I was wondering where the influence is, like which direction kind of thing, is the way you guys promote yourselves.
Yeah, they kind of like, I guess it's indie kind of marketing, just.
But not.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's got that indie feel, but clearly with guys who know what the fuck they're doing.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, because we really do not.
Bullshit. That video of you doing the tour bus thing was the most brilliant thing I've ever seen.
Thank you.
That was brilliant, and it really was. Like right from the start, it attracted all of your attention, and then it did the turn, walked you around, and went, "No, asshole, this is what it really is." It was brilliant, top to bottom.
Thank you. I think that specific mentality, that speaks to something larger, I guess, because that specific clip is like what we're all about as a crew, me, Justin, Alex, Segan, and we have 2 different bass players who rotate in and out, but we want to be as professional as possible, and we want to be as big as possible and play for as many people as possible. We want everyone to think, we're this well-oiled machine, which we feel like we are. And at the end of the day, it's like we're all in like either a small van or a Volkswagen. And so it's just true. Right. It is, and we've gotten to be on some pretty incredible stages with some, legendary acts. And just in the Jetta following the bus, or one time we were on a bus, or this other time we were on a bus, where we felt very lucky to be there. But for the most part, it's like, we want to bring the highest caliber like live show possible, and it's being held together by all these little things that are quite I don't want to knock it, because we're very happy.
But that's the thing. I don't think there's anything to knock there. I think that's the important part of what you do. I think the important part of what you do and the way you go about music now, you're way further into it than I am. But the entertainment industry is clearly changing. And I think it's changing from the world of like, oh, look at who we are. It's always going to have that fucking element, because shiny things are always going to be attractive, right? Yeah. But I really think that like there was, for a long time, authenticity was a dirty fucking word, right? It was because it was all manufactured authenticity. Mm-hmm. And I think you bring like this, there's a group of musicians sort of like in your ranks that are kind of coming through all of it right now. I think you guys are really showing the world how to do it without the pretension. And I think that's important.
I appreciate you saying that. We want to, obviously, we want people to take us seriously as far as the music goes, and as far as the show goes and stuff like that, but we're not pulling up like a tour bus to play these small venues. We are and the spirit of all those videos, like we are the merch guys, we're the stagehands, we're the roadies, we're the drivers, we're this, we're that. That's our entire crew. It's just 3 or 4 people. So, Justin and Alex and I were talking about this yesterday, kind of shooting the shit at Alex's house, just like we go on first of 3 on some of these bigger tours across the states, and we're so into it, we're so passionate about it, and at the end of our set, we're trashing our set, and that's Justin's MO too, growing up on the music he's growing up on, like, wants to bust the drum set, and I'm throwing my guitar, and we're kind of going berserk, and then, it was what we want, right? And then we get off stage, and we're like, all right, let's go get our shit. It's like, they're gonna kill me for using that, because that's exactly what we were talking about yesterday. But it's true. It's like it's that mentality. Like
put on the giant show.
Yeah, to the point. We'll dress up in disguises before to do and that's something Justin started doing probably long before him and I started playing together. I remember seeing him and his band Pulp City Inn in Windsor, and he would tech for himself in a disguise.
What?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's hilarious.
See, and it's like, it's giving people that like experience of like, whoa, and I remember watching it, it was like the coolest fucking thing, because it's like, oh, there's a guy who, you know, gets all shit set up for him. It's like, no, it's him in a fucking hat and a fake mustache or something.
That's fucking living the prestige.
Dude, and does it for that, you know, and then go, but it's doing the work behind the scenes, it's doing all that, and that's the... because like, that's a magic trick. Yeah.
Right. It's 100%. That's everything a magic trick is. Right. So it's just a magic trick that isn't like ta-da.
Mm-hmm.
When you caught on to the trick, was it a moment for you?
Yeah, I think it was like that's dedication kind of thing. Mm-hmm. Like, or you want it that bad. Like you want people to have that experience so bad that you're gonna go through all that.
Did you talk to him about it?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. And then when I said, "Man, that's amazing," and then when we started touring together, we started doing it like, you know, and we call him Gus. Changed his name to Gus when he puts the shit on. And Alex started doing a funny version of it when we would go up and when we played solo shows, right? When we did solo tours, just Alex and I acoustically, or solo electric. Alex would wear one of my coats and a big wig and go up and check my guitars, pretending to be me, and to the point where, you know, people were sharing photos on social media saying, you know, would fool my relatives at local shows and stuff like that.
That's funny.
Yeah, Staccato started. That was pretty, you know.
I think the part that fascinates me about that the most is the art of that. You know what I mean? Like it requires. There are people that will hear that story and go, "What the fuck is that asshole doing?"
Yeah.
Right? But it's the fact that thought is important to him, and then like guy like you sees it and goes, "Oh man."
Yeah, because like to me, there's like something incredibly romantic about it. I think it's amazing. Like, and you know, it'll be all the sweeter one day when someone's actually doing that shit. You know.
That's funny. Is that part of it for you? Is
maybe? Yeah. Maybe that's what it is. And it's like, because you know, I tour with bands all the time where, you know, who have the driver now and the bus and the crew and the whole thing, and when they tell us stories about when they were in the van or they were in the Jetta, they were setting up their cables and doing all that stuff. It's like, you know, there's always
feels like
a moment. Yeah, and there's always a moment of like, you know, wouldn't trade it for anything. Well, wouldn't go back, but wouldn't trade it for anything, as they always say. So it's like, my dad always tells me, you know, it's a huge cliche, but you know, said so often, but it's getting there. You know, it's along the way. It's all these things that you're really gonna cherish, you know, and remember. So, and we're enjoying the hell out of it. So,
been having fun.
Yeah.
Talk to me about meeting heroes, because I know you've had an opportunity to meet some of yours.
Yeah.
Because that's one thing they say: never meet your heroes, right?
How's
your experience been? You don't have to name names if they're bad stories.
No, yeah, I don't. I get starstruck at the weirdest things, and then
like what?
Not. I don't know. I'm a huge Black Keys fan, right? Mm-hmm. Grew up, like, just started playing guitar on my own, and I knew they were like in the same restaurant or bar as me in Nashville one time, and I was like, "Fuck, what's going on?" And I'm like, shaking. I saw them kind of walk through the thing. And I was like, and I didn't even get to meet them. Like, I didn't even say hi. I didn't even get to say. It was just like, and then maybe I'll get to meet some other people that are like huge influences of mine, that are big heroes of my father's, and I'll just be like able to keep it together and actually have a conversation and shake a hand, yeah.
Does it trip you out sometimes that you're in that world now?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how in it. I don't know how in it I am. I feel like at some point it's just a bunch of people in a room, and for that,
But that's kind of what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, to me, like, I was just having this, I say it quite often, but, like, life is fucking weird. Like, every once in a while I turn around and I look around at what's going on me, and it's like, there's no path to this. It's just like, how is any of this shit happening?
Yeah.
Right? And I wonder if you sort of look at it like that, or if your perspective's different because you kind of always just felt like this is what it was going to be.
Yeah, I definitely look around and kind of like, oh, that that's fucking cool, quite a bit,
Mm-hmm.
And I hope it doesn't come off as arrogant, as like, oh, like, that's normal, it's the normal thing, because I don't want it to sound like that at all, too. It's just, I don't know, I hate making it awkward and weird for other people, because I feel like they're other people, too, who are just kind of like, their entire day is like,
But you grew up seeing that.
Probably, yeah. It's probably part of it too.
Right?
Yeah.
Were you? Because it's funny. I spend a lot of time listening to interviews and stuff, right? So one of the things that always came back to me when you hear celebrities talking about like eating dinner or whatever, and a fan comes up. Have you had those experiences? And have you had those experiences being the kid of somebody having? You know what I mean?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, watching my father interact with people since I was a kid, it's just. Is definitely one thing that I'm trying to aspire to, because he's always had the time of day for everyone, no matter who they are, what's going on, or how late he is. He'll stop and have a conversation with whoever, and whether or not they're a fan of his music or just want to chat, it didn't matter what it was. So, yeah, that's definitely been kind of something I aspire.
How are those moments for you now, though?
It's kind of cool. Yeah? Yeah, man. You mean as far as people coming up and speaking to me?
Because it can go. Because it can go both ways, right? Because you can have those moments where it gets frustrating or whatever, but you found you found it to be cool.
No, yeah, it's never. I'm definitely not frustrated at all. I think it's super cool. And if someone has taken time out of their day to come speak to you, there's no reason why you shouldn't be. Should be able to. I mean, obviously, if you're late or you're doing something, you gotta be polite about it. But it's it's a cool thing. It's really cool.
Is it a cool thing or is it an important thing? And like, do you get what I mean by the difference?
Of course, yeah. I definitely think it's important to be nice to everybody, to the best, as well as you can all the time.
But do you do it because you think you need to, or do you do it because like you really kind of like, fuck, this is neat?
No, man, it is neat. It is really cool. I was in the subway station in Toronto like a few weeks ago, and got off one of the stops, and I had my headphones in, and I'm embarrassingly listening to my own mixes for notes and stuff like that. And someone comes and taps me on the shoulder, and they're like, "Are you?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, I wanted to see you at the show. I couldn't get, I couldn't come to the show," and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I remember picturing myself. I was like, that's a cool moment, because, whatever. I mean, it's just, it's a cool feeling.
Somebody takes part of their day out to think about
you. Yeah, and tell me like that the music's influential for this reason, or I love this song, or something like that. I'm like, fuck, that's cool.
This is going to be
go on.
a really... What do you get out of it?
Out of that?
Well, no, the music, like all of that. At the end of the day, I sort of fell onto this idea not too long ago that like I'm just, unless I want to do something, me doing something is just me like whatever, right? But when I have when I have the desire, the drive to come do this kind of thing, when you go and do the things that I want to do, nothing matters to me other than that stuff.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, when, turning the lights off, going to bed or whatever, what do you feel like you're accomplishing? Or does that even matter to you?
No, well, getting out of all this is like, okay, music's a huge part of my life, always has been, right? And growing up, like a lot of people, like everyone, you get a certain feeling from listening to a certain record or watching a certain person perform. It made me feel a certain way. I was like Dan Auerbach from the Black Keys, his guitars or something like that. And Paul Rogers' voice made me feel a certain way. And like watching that, I was just enamored, so fucking fixated on that. It was just, whether it was a song or a lyric or it was Neil Young. It was Neil Young's songwriting, right? It was the Beatles. It was like, fuck that feeling, like whatever I'm feeling when I'm watching or listening to this right now, I want to be able to do that. Like, and I want to be able to give other people that feeling. And that's just been the goal since.
And
since
that's what
started.
it is.
Yeah, that's definitely what it is. It's why you write as many songs as you can, try and get in front of as many people as you can, wear the fucking coat that I liked that someone else wore that I liked one time, when I was a kid. I'm always trying to recreate that feeling. I don't know, yeah, it's.
So here's my question for you. How do you ever know if you do it?
I don't think you ever do. I think that's the thing about it. And I think once you get to a place where you think you're constantly doing it, that's when you've gone off, and you should probably back up, right? But I think it's
that was brilliant.
No, well, when you yeah.
If you ever get to the point where you're pretty sure it's happening all the time, time to back off a little bit.
But I think it's moments along the way that the bunch of little pieces, like someone stopping me in the subway and saying, "Hey, I'm a really big fan of your music. I'm going to see you next time you tour here. I like this song," or "This song means this to me," or "We got married to this song," or "We're getting." This song got me through this, and then like that. Those are the easy stories to tell because they're relatable and it's a true thing. Music has done so much for my life. It's done so much for everyone's life and healed or helped in some way, right? So it's a bunch of those little things that definitely that you're after and make you feel like everything you're doing is worth it, but. Yeah, at the end of the day, it's just like, man, I was just a kid who watched, most importantly, my father do it, but like different musicians and different writers and the Beatles and saw their effect on people and like wanting to have that same thing, wanting to be able to do that same thing. And,
do you... I don't even know if you're going to be able to answer this
no,
question.
cool.
This might be one of those unanswerable things. Do you think clearly audiences connect with you? I'm sure you're already aware of that. To a certain extent.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm just kidding.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Do you think those connections come because of all of the stuff that you're talking about, because of your desire to want to do that? Or do you think that there's innate or whatever, like do you think it's a skill or do you think it's a talent?
I don't know. I'm constantly working on trying to connect with people have a better connection with people when I'm on stage, and every show that goes by I feel like I'm learning something new or trying to learn something newer. I think at the end of the day, if you truly believe in what you're doing up there and people can feed off that, and so to that, maybe it's not a skill. I think maybe it's like it's your conviction, I think, and your intention when you're up there, right?
But you actually spend the time thinking about it and making the effort towards it.
Of course. So I guess maybe it's definitely work for sure, because you have to interact in your own way. You don't necessarily need to go up there and talk the whole time or tell jokes and shit like that, but you need to, let people in some capacity, right? So,
did it take you long to figure that part
for
of it
sure.
out?
Yeah, it's like ongoing process.
Yeah.
I think I'm more comfortable now on stage than I ever have been, but I remember when I started, I was like head down, don't look around kind of thing. Just like.
Talk to me about the work part of it then. Give me, because when artists talk about this part of it, about connecting with an audience, it gets really fucking ethereal.
Okay.
Right? Like, oh, our spirits connect and da-da-da-da-da-da. Yeah, I get all of that, but, right? There's some fucking basics.
Yeah.
Because you just said when you started, head down, all of that stuff. Do you remember consciously going like, oh shit, I gotta look at people?
Yeah, man, it was like, and I'm very lucky in the situation that I've been in to be able to walk on stage before acts that are established, walk on stage before people who have fans, thousands of people, hundreds of people, whatever it is, to see them, right? So that's where I started going on in front of people who don't know me. I have no music out, I have no whatever. I'm just the warm-up act. So I started to how do I make this 30 minutes as compelling as possible to hopefully bring some of these people to my own show one time. And that's when I really get to be comfortable. You know what I mean? So I was looking at it as okay, I have however much time to interact. How am I going to do that? How am I going to leave the best impression? And eventually I needed to stop looking down at my feet and look up and say, hey, this is who I am. This is what I do. I'm going to have a good time up here. I hope you have a good time watching me. See what happens. Let's do it.
When you're up there, especially in the bigger, because the more intimate shows get easier because everybody's right here, right? But say at the House of Blues, Chicago, right? Yeah. It's intimate, but it's not intimate, right? Yeah. When you're up there playing on a stage like that, and you're projecting to the audience, are you projecting to the audience, or are you projecting to that one and that one and that one?
I guess the room depends on the room, right? Or what kind of, like you said, sometimes they're intimate, sometimes they're not. Everyone as a whole. I'm not trying to focus in on one person. I'm just trying to again, going back to conviction. I truly believe in what I'm doing up here. Mm-hmm. Depending on what kind of the audience they are, hopefully it's reciprocated, or they're a concert goer, they're a fan, or maybe they're just getting drunk before the headliner gets out and they just want to hang out with their friends, and that's fine too. That's totally cool. That's the nature of being support, right? Mm-hmm. And you never know what you're gonna get. Sometimes it's gonna be on that same tour. I saw you when I played solo at the House of Blues, right? Yeah. The time before that, I was with the band, and I had Justin and Lena there with me, and different show entirely, but same stage. I think that night they were really good. I know you couldn't hang around for the show, but the audience was quieter, and it was a more listening crowd. That all depends on what kind of.
What do you prefer? Ah, man. Because there's the listening crowd, and then there's the getting into some shit crowd, right?
And it's especially when I'm with the band, it's I want everyone to be full of energy and fucking going nuts, right? But when I'm by myself, I want to.
You like it kind of to bring it down.
Yeah, I want to be able to tell stories, and I've gotten onto this kick of telling stories now. It's a new thing for me. I'm looking forward to the in-betweens of songs just as much as the songs, and
really,
to kind of interact, and the more headlining I do, the more that's extreme that is getting, probably.
Does the storytelling part become part of your practice as well?
Absolutely, yeah. I think so.
All right.
Think so. And I'm just
How
learning.
How so?
I want to be able to now. I just put out this live EP about a month ago, and it's 24 minutes long, and it's 12 minutes of banter and jokes, and then 12 minutes of song, and telling stories and giving people like, you know, just kind of like an insight into what I'm thinking of when I'm up there, because even if the song's heavy and sad and quiet, I might be in between it. I might, you know, I'm actually having a really good time. I'm not going up there and I'm just so depressed. I'm just getting in that mind state for that song, because that's how that song's supposed to be sung, or how, you know, how it was written. But I'm actually having a really good time most of the time. And
are you working on how to transition between that stuff?
Exactly, and that's why I wanted to put that out. And just because, you know, it's something that I'm definitely working on and I'm trying to improve upon. I think the more comfortable I am on stage, the more comfortable people in the audience are going to be receiving the music and hearing the music, because you can tell, man. Like, I've been to shows where you can tell that the performer is uncomfortable and really doesn't want to be up there.
Yeah, and if he doesn't want to be up there, I don't necessarily want to watch you be up there being uncomfortable.
Yeah,
right?
It's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
Of course, there's anomalies all the time, and there's some artists who just hated every second that they were up there, but it was just so riveting.
It's funny because I think Justin's the example of the opposite of that, because Justin always looks like he's uncomfortable. Like Justin, like when I'm watching it, and I love it. Like he's got when I was talking to him recently, actually I think it was after Blues Fest.
Yeah.
And I was telling, like, when you're up there, like, I hope you don't take this insulting, but like you've got this sort of jerky nature, like Joy Division sort of jerkiness to him. And he said, yeah, people fucking tell me that all the time.
Oh, I love it, man. It's become like such a part of his drumming, especially like that, you know, especially people who come to multiple shows, repeat shows, and keep coming there. Come there and expect him to see him do it.
Right. But it's funny because normally when you see somebody perform like that, it comes off as awkward, but with Justin, it doesn't.
No.
Like, the first time you see it, you go, huh?
To be honest,
to be
honest, I think it's so far the other way.
Yeah.
He's so into it that the dials like come back around, and you know, it's like everything, you know.
It's really. Sorry, I don't mean to keep going. It's just because I know your paths have been really closely connected, right? And I find him and
all of
you
us, myself, Derek, Derek and I in this actual room, and this would have been shit. This was even before, I think, right around the same time maybe as I was doing that EP with Marty and getting Justin to play. Yeah, this was before, because Justin wasn't, I don't think Justin was playing with me yet. I think I was playing with Derek first.
Okay.
Actually. And Derek came by here and the house was empty. My parents had just split up, right? So my mom was living in Windsor, my dad wasn't living here. This house was completely empty, and I had some recording gear, and we set it up there, and Derek and I did an album of like 9 or 10 demo, garage rock. Yeah. And like, I gotta find them because
we're talking about Derek Impens.
Sorry,
if you don't
Derek
know,
Impens,
but and if you've been paying attention to the show, he was the sound engineer for the show for a while. And, So,
Derek's just ridiculous talent,
right?
Just
another guy that can just do everything.
Insane, man. There's the like world class. Both him and Justin, truly. Him and I would, like, this room sounds amazing when there's nothing in it. He'd be playing the drums, and it was like heavy stuff. It was cool, man. It was a lot of fun. All these amps and setup was so loud.
What is it with this? I think I've asked this question to a couple of people.
Yeah.
What is it with this fucking town, man? Because it, like, the level of ridiculous talent that, and like right around your age group, and even like going into your dad's, like, it's been around forever. What is it about this area?
I don't know, but there's
something in the fucking tomatoes or what?
There's definitely something about it. It's crazy.
One of the things that was in the background of my head when I started this podcast is I would think back to stories I heard of really successful people in art and entertainment. Guys like, Spielberg and anyway, the list goes on and on. And one of the things that always sort of stood out to me was when you heard their origin stories, for lack of a better term, they always connected to a bunch of other names that were really super talented, that they grew up with, were around, that kind of thing.
So it kind of comes in droves, it comes
in groups, like you sort of feed off of each other.
And I think that's I was going to say that. I think you definitely and it's not even in a competitive fashion. I think
No.
you, especially in a community like this,
I think it's because
tight-knit.
it's not competitive that it becomes
the opposite,
really...
right? You're encouraging one another, helping one another. And
Yeah.
like in the last 48 hours, the amount of creative shit I've done in town is nuts.
Right.
Work with, whether it was with Alex or Justin or Travis Latham or my cousin Six.
Yep.
We just, just
It's amazing, right?
yeah. You and I sitting down. I think you don't gotta go far at all. You don't have to go anywhere at all.
One last question for you,
For
and then
sure.
we're going to end this off. You have a perspective that not a lot of people have. We talk a lot about the changing music industry, the changing entertainment industry here. You've seen both sides of it, the old school way that it ran, the transition. Your dad was like one of the first 360 deal offered. And then you're sort of on the other side of that now. What do you think about all of that? Where do you think it's going? How do you think it's...
I don't know, man. I am constantly trying to figure it out just because I feel like I'm always a student of this thing, like especially music, the business side of it, the writing side, the creative side, So I always want to know why things are happening. And truly, I don't think anyone really does. Yeah, things come back around and there's a reason for them, but like, I think one thing that's constant is the songs lead first. It's always about a good song at the end of the day, and it's going to find its way. I know it's very specific to a very broad question you asked, but I know that the actual music matters most, and that the live show, like that's one thing I don't think it's ever wavered. That's why my dad's been able to do what he's been able to do for so long. Is it's always going to be a thirst for live music, always. And if that's part of your craft and you continue to work at that, I think there's always going to be, whatever state the music business is in, people want to go see shows, and I hope they continue to do so, because for me, that's the coolest thing about this whole thing has been, like, I only started putting out the original music 2017, so 2 years ago, right? But I've been down in Nashville since 2013, 2014, so I've been able to tour for the last 5 or 6 years, but only put out music 2 years ago, right? So I was able to go out and play shows and play, lucky to be in those situations and working with those people that get me in those situations, but been able to go out and perform with really nothing out, and then the music was coming after. So, if that's what you're doing, and that's the reason you're in the business, is to perform for people and connect with an audience and stuff like that. I think that's always going to exist,
I think ultimately every piece of what it comes down to is just do the fucking work.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Billy, it's been a pleasure.
AJ, thanks.
All right, folks, that's been this episode of the AVB Podcast. Of course, as always, check down in the descriptions for links to Billy and to all of our sponsors. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit the subscribe or like buttons, or all of them, the bells, the notifications, because it's 2019, and that's how we get shit around. See you next time.